we're back again. And let's go ahead and switch over to our top-down view. We'll get seated down here. Welcome back. We spent a little time off, and what we ended up doing, as you can see here, is our cave troll from Lord of the Rings. Cave troll turned out pretty good. We did a series of ink to do the skin, which turned out really, really well. What we ended up using was a base of yellow ochre, and then we came back and did some splotches on there with this imidazolone brown. We used brown, and then we came in with some really watered down bamboo green, and we're able to get the color scheme that we did. So it adds a lot of depth, and again, remember we started off just with dry brushing on black primer, and this is what we have so far. So yeah, it turned out pretty good. Got some good details on there. We did some highlights with some silver through recommendations of some people to put on the edging and stuff like that to get the glint of, like, you can see like on the edges right on there, and on the tips and things like that, that really brings in some more depth of character. So that turned out pretty good. Tell you what, I'm going to end up, we will turn on and get a view of, hopefully, our live view. And we'll go here, and we'll view the channel. And I think we're live. Yes, we are live. We will turn on. So get a view of. We will do that, and we'll take the volume off of there. And I wish you could have a larger view of the comments that are coming in there. So we'll just leave that right there so I can see some comments. We're going to dive into this and get into doing the mouth, the eyes, or the mouth, the teeth, eyes, and the eyes are going to be probably the last part. So this will be interesting. With that, what we're going to end up doing is we've got a number of colors here. So to start off with, we're going to go inside of the mouth, and I think what we're going to end up doing is we're going to use this orc blood for the inside of the mouth, and then we'll use this crusted sour color for the tongue. And I think that'll create some contrast between those two. We'll see how it works out. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't want to use like red or flesh tone because I want the troll to have kind of like a different coloring scheme, so it doesn't just look like a guy with a troll mask on. Okay, it's got to have some intricate colors. So we're going to do that for the mouth, and then for the teeth, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the skeleton bone and the fangs. That'll really make it pop. And then on top of that, we might do a little bit of highlights with this matte white. So we'll do that. And then the other thing we're going to do with this matte white is we were going to put this onto the eyes. So we'll do the eyeballs, and that is really small. Oh Lord, that is really small. And then we're going to come in and we're going to do this Void Shield blue. And that's going to give the signature blue look to the eye. And then hopefully with an even smaller, we're going to go back with the matte black, and we're going to get the pupil in there. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that works. I might need some ocular assistance. And the question is, yes I do have some ocular assistance. So we'll use these, and so that way we can get close, try to get precise. Does the battery even work on this? Yes it does. So we got like a 4 or 5 zoom, whatever it is, and yeah, this should help a lot. And then the other thing I need to make sure of is that my hand is steady. So yeah, we'll just clean up the lenses here, get that prepped and ready to go. Put that off onto the side. And let's dig into this. So we want to go ahead and we want to do the orc blood for the inside of his mouth. And we're just going to run with that right there. And if anybody's watching, which I don't know, this is kind of an odd time. So for those people who are wondering, well, I'm in Korea. I retired in Korea, and yeah, that's where we end up going on. So the hours that I post, like what time is it? It's like 10 after 2 on Saturday here in Korea. So in the United States, I don't know what time it is, but it's not the normal time. So go ahead and we'll do that. We'll get a little drop of that going. And we'll get our brush because I think this will be good enough. We'll just dampen that up a little bit, and we will mix this up to get that purple or orc blood. We're going to put it on the inside of his mouth. And let us begin. Kind of start with the roof of the mouth just to see how that'll look. So you can see that there. I think that's going to turn out all right. And then later what we'll end up doing, and if I get some on the teeth, it's not a big deal. So and we'll try to get the gums as well around the teeth, so that can be interesting. And this is a little bit lighter, so the interesting thing, is this even going? I think I am. Okay, yeah, we are. Okay. So with this, it'll be a little bit lighter. And then with the crusted sore, that'll bring in some red. And hopefully that will work out. So we can get some contrast in there. And then the teeth, that should be really interesting because with those two colors, with the skeleton bone teeth, we should come up with some pretty cool contrast. And I'm not too worried about the tongue because we're just gonna go ahead and paint that over with the red. So I'm just gonna hit a slight line of this to try to get kind of like that gum line. And so again, that'll kind of give a little bit of contrast there. And can we get that? So I want to try to get right on the edge there. And then up on because we got a real pronounced gums, and on here, so I think that'll work out. And again, I'm not too worried about getting it onto the teeth, because we'll go back over that with the skeleton bone. So let's see, a little bit more there. Try to get it right on the edge. Try to do a little bit of And that stuff's drying out really fast. I'll try to bring a little bit of that onto the lip a little bit. And try to kind of blotch that in there. So that's looking pretty good already. I'm trying to look, let me hold this up to the light here because I want to see if it washes out on the video, because if there's too bright I can lower this. And there's lag between the time that I'm, yeah, there's a little bit, let's kind of, that's high. And let's see how that goes. And I tried fixing the coloring on the camera as well, because before in the previous video it was really, really heavy and deep. It punched the colors really hard. So let's take, so I'm watching on the screen. I think that'll work. So that's a little bit better. Maybe a little bit more. I think that's going to be it. Okay, so we got that. And we'll end up cleaning this. So now what we can end up doing is we could do the whites of the eyes while we let this paint dry. And by the time we get the white done, hopefully when we come back, that should be dry enough, and we can come back and we can do the teeth and the skeleton bone, and yeah, we should be good. We'll see how that goes. So orc blood for the inside of the mouth, and the crusted sore we're going to need for the tongue, but right now we're going to need the white. We're just going to need a little bit. We're also going to need a different brush, because yeah, that's a real small area where those eyes are at. Crazy. So we'll just need a tiny dab of white. And the army painter stuff, great paints, but the problem is this stuff is really, really thick, and so that can cause some issues. So I think what we'll end up doing is we'll get our brush with some water. I'll just kind of mix that up a little bit, so that way we can get that going. And like I said, we're going to need a way smaller brush. So I'm thinking we're going to use this one here. This is 0.9 millimeter. So yeah, this will be the brush. And I think we're going to have to get and put the cool glasses on. See what I'm talking about? You can't get much more geeky than this. So yeah, it is what it is. So now we'll get a little bit of this paint here. And I want to get that in the eyes. Man, that is just crazy. That doesn't look too bad. Let's see if we can get this other one. So that looks pretty good. I got a little bit of a mistake in there, so let's see if we can kind of clean that up a little bit. So that worked out good. And we got a tiny little bit on the top. So let's see if we can clean that down. Delete that. So there is the eyes. So we actually got that done. That looks pretty good. Now the scary part is the scary part is going to be getting the blue in there. So getting the blue, we're going to have blue eyes on this because that's what we see on the Lord of the Rings in the picture. It has white eyes with blue, and then of course the black pupil, and we'll see we do have some kind of eyelids, so I'm going to try to paint some black lines above and below the eye. So yeah, that could be very interesting. But I think what we'll end up doing now is hopefully that purple that we did is dry enough, and what we'll do is with this crusted soar color, which is kind of a weird looking color, weird different names for these army painter paints, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit that tongue, and we're going to take a look and see what that looks like, because that might be a little, I don't know, it's almost like I want to do a red, but I don't. So we'll see what happens. That's what it's all about. So seeing if this ends up being fun and interesting. Worst case scenario, hey, you just paint over it. So I'll put a tiny bit of that. Ooh, that is dark. Can you get that? Look at that there. I don't know if that's going to be enough contrast. That's going to be like dark. Maybe we need to add a little bit of some red, some brighter red. I don't know if that's going to be pure red, or are we going to do dragon red? Dragon red might not be bad. Let's try some dragon red. We'll put a little dot there and we'll see how that looks. Because that right there, I don't know. We could always put the darker on there, and then we could go back, and if it's too dark, we could always build up the color and go lighter, which wouldn't be too bad. Go dark and then go progressively lighter. So let's try that first. So add a little bit of water to that. And you can see that is just kind of, that's an interesting color. And we'll just start off on the tongue. I don't know, I don't think that's enough. I don't know, it's almost there. I mean, there's a little bit of color difference, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough. Let's try, tell you what. I'm doing this on the fly. I have no idea what I'm doing. So let's do a little bit of okay. Well, I pulled that off there real quick. And we'll go for the dragon red. So dragon red, we're updating our color choice. And then we'll go with the dragon red. We'll see how that looks. And I think between the dragon red and then with the skeleton bone for the teeth and the fangs, we should come out good. But then again, I thought the crested sore was gonna do well, but it didn't. So let's see what this looks like. And that's nicer. So you can see the red there on how that's definitely that's a lot brighter. I don't think we're going to need this. I think we should be good with this. Again, I'll just damp that up a little bit. Make sure that this is all, oh yeah. I think this is going to be good. Yeah, I think that'll work. Try to get it way back there, trying to get into the whole tongue. I think that's going to work, folks. I think that is going to work. I do. Gonna get some. I think that looks good. What do y'all think? Does that look good? It gives enough contrast, and then I want to try to get that really, really red. I think that's going to work. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. Nice. So the dragon red was the way to go. Good job, dragon red. Good to know. So yeah, you can always start dark, and then if you make some, if it's too dark and they're too close together, you can always go lighter on top of that. So that seemed to work out pretty good. I just saw it on the live video on my tablet, and that turned out pretty nice. So yeah, that'll be good. So now I think what we're going to end up doing is we can hit the skeleton bone, which is what we have here, and we will hit those teeth and fangs. And again, we're going to use that real small brush that we have, that 0.9 millimeter, which is tiny. Make sure we got our skeleton bone all mixed up. And that's the color that we're going to end up having, is we put a bottle topper on there, 3D printed that with my resin printer. And so that should be an interesting little color. I don't want to use too much. And I think this is thick as well. Let's see how this goes. Just add a tad bit of water. That's a lot of paint. I put too much. But I think that'll be good. I think we picked a good color for that. And for those of you that are watching, the few, the proud, the respected, a lot of this stuff is just trial and error. You know, I watch an inordinate amount of YouTube videos, and then finally you just watch so many videos that you don't do anything. So eventually you got to get to the point of where you do. And here we go. And I need to get the back of the tooth as well. So we'll do the front. Oh yeah, that's gonna be hot. That is gonna be nice. Look at that. Have to load up a little bit more paint. That skeleton bone is gonna be nice. And then the other thing we could end up doing with the skeleton bone is, if we wanted to, we could end up putting some wash on there. So that could be really nice. And that could add some more texture. Now, do I really need to get the teeth from behind? Probably not, because nobody is going to look at this, you know, pick this up and turn it and say, hey, did he paint the inside of the teeth? I don't think anybody's going to do that. But it's just another chance to practice. Oh, look at that. That's going to come out good. That is nice. So and he's got some small teeth in the back. He's got this big fang. Oh yeah, that's gonna look nice. I got this little curve in my brush, so it's kind of frustrating, but I can use it to my advantage sometime. Look at that, that's bringing it home. That is good. Look at that. I think that looks good. Nice, nice. And probably don't have to do behind the tooth, but we're going to anyway. That's where that little curve in my brush comes in handy, and kind of get behind stuff. Just a hair. How's that look? I think that looks pretty good with the tongue and the purple. And do I see any? Oh, I found some more teeth in there. Dang it. Dang it. Man, those are really small. Let me go back to my super geek goggles. Oh yeah, there they are. So we got that one, and then we got that one. Get a little bit of moisture on there. Yes, we will get the back of the tooth, because details matter sometimes. We have some on the other side. Oh, I think we do. Yep, we got one more. You've got kind of one there, so we'll just kind of do that. Alrighty, how does that look, folks? Super Geek Glasses deactivate. Wow, I think that turned out good. Look at that. That is nice. Let's see if we can get him up to the camera here. Take a look so you can see. Turned out pretty good, I think. I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. The live view, the picture, the colors on this are still really punchy on the video. So it's like they're really, really vibrant. But so it's a little bit muted in real life, but man, that looks good. And I see where I need to paint another little tooth backside. Aha, we got it. We got it. Oh, there's a bit there. That turned out good. I'm happy with that. Let's not mess with it anymore. Good call. Good call. Somebody's probably, no, don't mess it up. It's fine. We'll take your word for it. And I got to learn. I'm using too much paint. So I got too much paint left over. So I need to be stingy with my paint, especially as expensive as these paints are. So now, I think we're good enough on that what we can end up doing is the blue on the eyes, and then we'll have to let that dry, and then we can put some, I don't know if you can see that there with his nose. We need to put in some black where the nostril is. That's a really, that's just going to be a little tiny line, and that's it. We could probably even do that with a wash, but we'll try to do it with black. I don't know, maybe we'll do the wash. If the wash doesn't work, we can always go darker and go with the black. We can't go with the black and do the wash because then you wouldn't be able to see the wash anyway. So let's head to the Void Shield Blue. We need to mix this baby up. Because this one, I mixed all these before I started the video except for the blue. So we'll we'll see how that goes. And that's the thing with these Army paints, is that they are really, really thick, and it's kind of problematic with that. The other colors that I have are the airbrush Army painter, and those are diluted. Matter of fact, we get like a console blue. That's not the blue I'm looking for. This is the shade. Do we have anything that looks like that? Ionic blue, that's close. It's probably a little bit too much blue. Oh well. It was an idea. But the regular Army paints are pretty thick, and the airbrush Army paints, the great thing about them is these are really watered down, and because they're made for an airbrush, so they're really nice. They flow really well, and I've been painting with these, not really much on my airbrush so much, but on regular painting, which turns out fairly well, because I don't have to delete or dilute anything on those. So make sure we get this mixed up really good and not use too much, because the amount of blue that we're going to put on here is going to be next to nothing compared to all this stuff. That's just a waste of paint. So I gotta rein back on how much I put on the palette. Again, more practice. I think that'll be a good color. But then again, some colors just didn't work out. So we'll see how this goes. Kind of like a tiny bit. And I think we're good with that. So again, the Void Shield blue. We had some other blues, but like deep blue, but that Void Shield is the lightest of all of these. And I think that brings in the color that we want. If we could go with an electric blue that would be a little bit darker. So we'll start off light, and then if it doesn't look good, we'll put a little bit darker over it and adjust as necessary. And this is going to be interesting because I'm going to need my Super Geek goggles once again. How uncool can you get? And man, that is just like, we're just going to need like a dot of that. That is crazy. There we go. So what do you think? I think we got that in there. So one eye looks good. Now we got to do the other eye. So we'll load up a little bit. You don't want to get too much. So how does that look, boys and girls? Does that look good? I think it does. So we'll see how this looks on the video, but that's definitely blue. Maybe darker. but it almost bleeds in there a little bit. We might have to go darker. We might have to do the electric blue because that is pretty light and it blends in there. I mean, you can see it, but when you hold it back, of course I'm wearing glasses, you can see like the white, but then the light blue is light enough to where it kind of bleeds in there. Maybe we'll just put a touch of this in there. So maybe if we can hold this up and you all can see how that looks. And if you're watching this, you probably noticed that in the little inset video of my face, you see me talking and the audio doesn't sync up with the video. I'm going to be trying to work on that. So, yeah. But that's what it looks like. So, yeah. Let's go a little bit darker. Who was the actor way back when that was called Old Blue Eyes? Was that Frank Sinatra? I want to say that was Frank Sinatra. Was Old Blue Eyes. Back when music was way different than it is today. That is for sure. So we want to mix this up and get it real good. I didn't think I'd be using this. Obviously, the joys and the fun of live streaming. So it is what it is. But yeah, I think a darker blue would be good. And then when we do that dot for the pupil, and then, yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think it could turn out good. And with that, I think on the teeth, the skeleton bone that we use for the teeth and the fangs, what we can end up doing is we could put a little bit of a wash on there to try to, because they're too pristine. So we could do some wash on there to try to age or make them look a little rough. Ooh, had all kinds of stuff coming out. Seriously. Premature ejaculation of paint. But we won't need much. So you can see how the difference in the blue is pretty pronounced. So you can see that blue there. So it's definitely darker. I think that'll be better. That'll look really good, I think. So we just need to put a dot of that blue on top of the blue that we just did. So we'll just mix this up a little bit and cross our fingers. Got our super geek goggles on, and here we go. See how this will work. That looks good, but I made a mistake. Damn it. Clean that off like a pro. Oh yeah, I think that's gonna look a lot better. So now we got to do the other one. And the paint dries on this with this small brush pretty quick. so close to where I want it. I'm going to call that good. I'm not going to press my luck. I'm not going to press my luck on that. Yeah, that looks a lot better. You can actually see the blue and the contrast between the white and the blue. So that, what was that? The electric blue? Yeah, electric blue turned out pretty good. And if I can keep my hands steady enough, we can put that black pupil in there, and we can do a little bit of the nostrils. So we gotta let that dry, which it's not a lot of paint. I don't know, y'all can see that? Does that come out pretty good? I think it does. I can't wait till I get the camera that I'm using for the top down. We're getting 2 more of those, and I think they show the colors a little bit better. I don't know if you can see that there. Might be washed out because of the light, but that's a lot better. That is so much better. So with that, alrighty, good job. We will go and we will do some washes, which means we got to move some stuff around. I've got more guys that I need to paint. My pile of shame. But I've been hesitant because things like flesh tones, I'm really nervous about that, and I started painting on like these guys here, these little 32 millimeter guys. Come on, get up to there. So you can see like this guy ended up here. We're doing some painting with him and getting more of the flesh tone in there. That's a lot of detail work, and I've been working on this off and on for quite a while. So my battery's almost dead. Dang it, Batman. On my tablet, you know what I can do? I'm just gonna put this up above because I got a bracket up here. I didn't think this would take this long. And we'll see if we can put this in here. Yep, we can. I'll just have to look up from time to time. Not that anybody's really commenting, but hey, you never know. I don't want the audio. Audio. There we go. I'll just take that off. And now we want to do the wash. So the wash will add, we'll do some flesh wash here. That'll add a little bit of dark, grimy type of stuff. We have a soft tone that we can end up. So we have a soft tone, we have the flesh wash here, and then we start getting into some strong tones. So this is more of a dark color. So I think what we'll end up doing is we'll try the flesh and see how that looks. Because the soft is just going to be, I think that's going to be, I don't know, soft might be good. We can always start light and go heavy later. So let's go ahead and we'll mix this up. And we'll put the wash on the teeth. And we will see how this goes. We're just going to need a little bit of this, like about that much, probably. Clean that off. And we can use a pretty decent brush on this. So we'll just go ahead and load up our brush. And we will do the tone, do the wash. So that adds a little bit of yellowing compared to, if you can see the difference there. between the top, we just put the wash on there, and then the bottom. So it kind of mutes it a little bit and kind of puts a little dirtiness. And we can probably put some wash on the gums as well. And with that, so we might need a little bit more than that. And that looks pretty good. So we might need a little bit more. Another drop of wash, kind sir. Yeah, that'll mute that out a little bit. We still got the color. I'm glad we went light. And then we will go through and we'll just kind of paint these in here. And just kind of do go around the edges a little bit. And I'm wondering, the other thing I could end up doing after this dries is put in some, it would be really good, put some high gloss. So we could put some high gloss on the inside of the mouth so it kind of looks like it's glistening. So that turns out pretty good. So we can see how it muted that skeleton bone color, and it's kind of like aged. It looks like it's, old. Like, dude definitely needs to go to the dentist. So that looks good. That looks good. And we still got to go back and do the eyes. Maybe we'll use a little bit of this. And try to add a little bit of color to the rest of his face. Oh yeah, that'll look good. So that way we've got a little bit of color in there. That is a little bit. So there, that's not bad. You know what? I think we'll add some more. We'll hit up the face a little bit more with the wash, which I think will turn out pretty good. So we'll use that as to kind of get into these crevasses. And kind of get a little bit more definition in there, more contrast. Get that around the mouth a little bit. Get in there a little bit. There we go. That wash will settle into those areas. Like that. And just get some more. Put it on that ear that he's got. Kind of run some down here. Run some down the neck. And let's use that as like a kind of like a highlight type of thing. A little bit. Just use it sparingly. So I think, how does that look? Think that looks good? I think that will turn out good. And like I said, then I can always come back with like this gloss varnish that we have here. And even though it's an airbrush varnish, what I could end up doing is going through and do the inside of the mouth, so that way we get some contrast. It looks glistening, it looks wet, and I think that'll really bring out some more depth to this. So maybe some more wash to try to get in those creases. So with that, let's get a darker. So we got this really dark tone. And the dark tone I was thinking about using on some of these plates, to where you have these here, and try to get that wash in there to try to create a shadow type of thing. So again, we get some more definition. So let's go ahead and we'll try that. Make sure that's mixed up well. And if you're going for that grim dark look, washes seem to work out pretty good. So we'll see how this goes. And we can put it on. Wow, that is black. That is really dark. So that is dark. Dark. That is dark tone. So and we'll try something on the back here to see how that'll work, and how we can get that into those areas, and just kind of, as you can see there, kind of be just right in there. So where we want that wash to come in, and we can see where it creates that line that's almost like a shadow. So we can just kind of paint in and fill those areas there, and that'll create some more dimension. We'll just see how that'll turn out. And then we'll go down this other side a little bit. Add some more there. See how we kind of get the shadow. It almost looks like it's a shadow. At least I'm hoping that's what it looks like. That's what we're trying for. So I might have to come back and do that again, because for this to dry, I really want it to set into those areas. So I got to kind of hold it up in this orientation. So now we can end up doing, we try to run a bead down here like that. So see how it creates that little bit of dark line in there. And that makes life so much easier. Washing is good. Just fill that area. It's a lot easier to do a wash than to paint a line. But basically that's what a wash is. It's watered down paint, and it's able to flow into those crevices and basically create that line that we want. And this is turning out good. That was kind of the problem I was seeing with this, was there was all the same color. It was so much of the same color, and it just seemed like a big blob. So I did know that I wanted to put some of this in here, so that way it would show some lines, but I didn't really want to paint lines. So the wash is the answer. Yeah, I think that's going to turn out good. And again, it'll give that illusion like there's a shadow that's coming down from that. The illusion. So whoever came up with washes was one smart cookie. Oh, I need some more. So there we've got that. Oh, that turns out really nice. That is a lot better than what it was with just all the... That does create some depth. Good, 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 good. And we can add some in here. We'll just kind of slop some of this stuff in here. So I think we're okay there. We're going to need a little bit more. I think that's good. I'm going to go on this here. Yeah, that's gonna turn out good. A little bit of wash. Nice, nice. Give it a thumbs up for the wash. These areas here, these are all just kind of, it's kind of a weird thing. I really wish they had it more cleaned up side piece, shoulder piece there. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. So now we'll do the wash on the front. Paint coming off of my paintbrush. It's like, what's going on? some there. That and that. Yeah, that looks good. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm gonna have to get some more wash. I think we will a little bit. Gonna need a little bit more. Thinking that should be all we'll need. I don't know. I'm hoping. So, nice, nice, nice. Yes, 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 yes. A little bit more there. Now we get these. I think we're almost done. Oh, we need a little bit there. And create that illusion of shadows. A little bit of darkness. Embrace the dark side. So yeah, that looks good. I like that. We got some. Oh, there's another piece. Imagine that. Alrighty. So now we can do just a little bit of this wash on the face. We can put on the shield there, or not the shield, but the face shield and the jawline. A little bit into the ear there. Do I really need to put some in the place where nobody can see it? Probably not, but I'm going to anyway. And now to this side. Draw that line down there. reasonably good. What about right there? I think we're good, ladies and gentlemen. That is looking really good. I'm surprised at how well this is turning out, especially for a live stream video. This is just turning out really, really good. Like I said, I am pleasantly surprised. So, even old dogs can learn some new tricks every once in a while. I didn't start painting until a couple of years ago. Since we moved here to Korea, maybe 2 years, something like that. We've been here 2.5 years already, which is, time has flown by. But I wasn't always painting. So I did some Warhammer 40K stuff. And then I did resin printing of like Warhammer stuff. And then got into some other stuff. And then finally I decided to, do some painting and all that. So now the next thing is to do the pupils. So we got to put the shade away. We don't need our skeleton bone. We're good with that. And the pupil, the smallest dot that we need to put on this will be, we're going to do it. We're going to get it looking good. Like I said, the worst thing that happens, if it doesn't work out, we have to repaint it. So we can always just clean it off as best we can, which is really nice with these type of paints, these acrylic paints. They're water-based paints. And if you make a mistake, like I did with some of the eyes and putting the white on there and it kind of got onto the eyelid, it's like, oh crap. What I ended up doing is taking a paintbrush and wet it with water, and you can try to whisk that away, and the sooner the better. So yeah, I'm gonna get a drink. If you don't mind, for this next part. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. 2 tiny dots. That's all we want. 2 tiny dots. And we're just not going to need much. And of course it puts out a big dot. But that's okay. We're not going to need that much. We're going to need our super geek glasses. I mean, geeky. Who would have ever thought I would be this geeky? 20 years in the military, over 20 years, 12 years overseas, firearms trainer, law enforcement, work corrections. Now I'm trying to put a tiny dot and I think we got one. We're going to call that good. I'm not going to press it. All that paint for 2 little dots. It's like, seriously. So let's see how that turned out. You can see that there. How does that turn out? Hopefully it turns out well, that you can see that. And then what I'll end up doing is I can use that gloss varnish. And the gloss varnish, what I can end up doing is putting that as the coating over there. Yeah, you can almost see that. Well, it's kind of washed out because of the light. But there is black there. And it's pretty decent. Maybe the one on the left needs a little bit more. No, I'm going to call it good. We're not going to mess with it. How many times have you said, I'm not going to mess with it, and then you mess with it and you screw it up? Yeah. So we're going to call it good. But what we can do is take that varnish, transition into this gloss varnish, and we can do the tongue for the inside of the mouth and hopefully we can get a really nice gloss on there to make it look like it's wet. And the inside of the mouth, I think that'll look good. And then later, after the eyes are fully dry, we forgot to do the nose area. Well, actually, that kind of filled in with the dark tone that we did, the wash. You know what? I could just throw the remainder of that dark wash on there, and I think we will be good with that. So we won't even have to do that. That is a great idea. I think what we end up, we're good. We are good. Works great. That works great. Great! Some other details that we could end up doing that I'm thinking about as this is running through my head is we notice that on the base, what we ended up doing is getting some bronze color. And it was actually weapon bronze. And we're able to put that onto the base, but I'm wondering if I should get another color. We have any other metallic colors? We got some gold, we got some bronze, and try to put some scuff marks. Or we've got brass, a brass color that we could kind of do some distressing on there. What are some other ones? This is Retributor gold armor. That'll be too much gold. What are some other things do we have? The lead belcher is what the armor is painted with. And that's way too much silver. That is way too bright. I got black, I got white. What is that stuff? Oh, that's decal fixer. I don't know. What do we have over here for the... we got some rough iron. What else do we have? We got rough iron. We got some copper, true copper. Gold. No, we don't want gold. No, we don't want that. That's not even the same color scheme. We got some plate mail. I think we could do with some rough iron. We could do a little bit of texturing with the rough iron. I think that'll be good. So we'll do the rough iron texturing to make sure that the mouth and everything is dry. And I don't think we'll use the brass. I think that's too mute of a color. That's too muted, too close. But I think with this brown, I think we could end up putting like some scorch marks or some scratch marks or whatever. And I think that'll bring out some more depth into the armor. Even though we, excuse me, even though we got pretty good on it, that is turning out all right. So, again, we're using the Army Painter airbrush paints, which is diluted, seems like perfect. And if I'd known that, I probably would have just gotten the airbrush set to begin with. But there are some different color tones between the regular Army Painter and the air paint. So it's almost like a purple. Really? That's iron? Seriously? No, maybe we just need to. I've never used the iron before, so maybe it just needs cleaned up or shaken up a lot more. But I think we can do that, and then with our handy little packing sponge, foam that we got out of a package of something. I can't even remember what it was. It just like, hey, I could do some stippling work on here. That's what I was looking for. So let's try this and see how this turns out. Wow, that is dark. It's kind of an interesting, different color. We'll see how this goes. And we will use, let's see how this goes. See if we can dab this onto our, I'll start off on the back on some little piece that's so we can break up some of the vast expanse that is the armor. We can kind of do some little scratch marks on there. I think I went too big with that, but so again, we're just going to put in some scratch marks there. That's not too bad. I think we can work with that. And then we can just kind of throw some scuff marks on there. Is it already drying out too much? I think it is. I'll just use this sparingly. kind of look like some scratch marks or whatever. A little bit of less is more type of thing. And then on here, did this a little bit with that streaky grime stuff, but this is just another layer of detail. Oh, we could put some, we forgot to put some wash on the back of his helmet there. So let's go ahead and do that. Just when you thought you were done washing, you're not. Mom always said to wash your hands. We're just going to wash our little sponge here. This has been like the greatest, you can get like texturing foam things from Green Stuff World and all that, but honestly, this little piece of foam has been awesome. So let's go back to our wash, and we wanted the dark wash. So we'll just add a little bit more to finish up that helmet. And I don't want to do too much more than that, but just right on the back there. In the crevasses of the helmet. I think we can end up, basically we will call this good once we finish this up, except for the glistening. We need to do the glistening. Instead of the reckoning, the glistening. It wasn't the reckoning. The quickening. That was it. For those of you that remember the Highlander movie, that was pretty good. Yep, I think we're good. So we got the details on there. We got depth, we got shadows, we got some scratch marks, we got some highlights. Now, we're done with the wash. We're officially done with the wash. We're not going to do any more wash. From here on out, no more wash. I promise you. And now, we should be good on the teeth and the mouth, so that's where this gloss varnish is going to come into play. And so, I guess it doesn't really matter if I use a cup or not, because we're just gonna go for it. But we do want a clean 1, 2, 3. Do like 3 drops. See how that goes. And then we will liberally coat the inside of his mouth and tongue and see if we can't get that glistening effect. Yep. Yep. And then a bead around his teeth and lips. So that way we've got the glistening. The glistening. Oh yeah, that's going to come out nice. And put just a slight bead around his mouth there. And then maybe a little bit on his nose a little bit. And now onto the eyes, because it should be dry enough. So we'll do the glistening on the eyes like that, even though that's a lot. I think that should come out okay. And the glistening will add a little bit of focal on there as well. So yeah, put some little bit of glistening around his nose. Kind of make it look like he's got the snotty nose thing going on. And then maybe a little bit of drool action there. So there it is. I think that turned out good. I think that turned out good. Is my tablet even charging? Yeah, it is. It's just slow. I got a cheap charger, so I don't know. There it is, folks. And if we wanted to, more ideas, we could put some more there. I don't know if I want to do it. If I want to put more gloss varnish on his skin, but I think that would be overdoing it. I think we're good the way it is now. And because really you don't need the glistening for the skin and everything. I think the glistening of the mouth and everything that we end up seeing there kind of draws you into the face a little bit more. And we get that look of, yeah, it's wet. And I am happy with this. This is turning out way better than what I thought. With that, what we could do, again, we want to break up some color. I was just looking at these chains and how pristine they are. And what we can end up doing with the chain is we can get some, we can add a tiny bit of bronze and brush on some bronze on there. I don't want to use like a brown, like a rust brown, because that'll be, I think that'll dull it down a bit too much. But I think if we use a bronze and we just put little tiny speckles of bronze on the chain, that can add some more depth to that as well. So let's give that a shot. So we're going to have to use our tiny brush. We're going to have to use we got our weapon bronze, or, nope, we don't want that. Retributor armor, that's more gold-ish, but the bronze is, that bronze is a little rough. That's a little bright. But we also have, that's gold. That is way too much. Weapon bronze? What are some other colors we have? Ooh. Whatever this is, something brass. I think we're going to go with this, because the weapons bronze will give some contrast. What's this other one we have? Nope, that flood belcher. That's what the armor was. So we can just do some little touch up on, and I think we got some buckles on here. We can use this brass color to kind of highlight. There's tiny like buckles and stuff. We could also do the brown. We could do a leather brown on there to do that, and then do the brass buckle that is on there, and we'll put little tiny splotches of yeah, let's do that. Oak brown? No, we don't want oak brown. Brown leather. What's this other one? Fur brown. We'll go with leather. See what happens. Oops, sorry. Monster brown. It's going to be a little bit lighter. What's this other one? Oak brown. That's really dark. I think we'll try the leather and we'll see how this goes. This is going to need a lot of mixing. So yeah, I think this is turning out pretty darn good. As we can see there, we definitely got the eye. We nailed the eyes. I mean, that's probably the best set of eyes I've done ever. So that's a huge win right there. That's a big W for me. And the teeth. Oh, that's gonna look good. That looks good. I like it. So we've got a few belts that are kind of like going under his arms, and we'll do that, and then we can go in with the weapons bronze. And again, yeah, look at how thick that is. The thickness. If you like thick, like the video, hit that like button. Okay, so we got some straps here. So let's just go ahead and we'll put this brown leather on here. I'll hit these straps up since he's all strapped in and ready to go. Again, it just kind of peters out on the underside here. And then we can come back with the that weapons bronze, and we can do the buckles on there. Trying to get the sides. And again, even though it's on the underside, you can still get that and make it look good. And this one, again, it just kind of peters out on this bottom here, but we'll just go ahead and hit it, do it, and we'll throw that little bit of bronze on the buckle area there, try to make that really stand out. And we don't have any straps on the back. But that comes out pretty good. So we didn't need a lot of that either. Imagine that. What are the odds? What are the odds? So we're done with that. Just throw that back in there. And then now we have our weapons bronze that we could end up hitting and getting the buckles and a little tiny bit on the chains. So we're not going to need much of this. So don't put a lot on there. You just start off like that. just a tiny bit. Then we'll get our tiny brush with our tiny bit, and we'll mix that up and see how this looks as far as like doing the buckle. Yeah, we can get some contrast in there. Not too bad. Not too bad. I think that'll work. And that's a tiny line. Breathe. Breathe. So we got that on there. So let's try a little bit of a, try to scuff the chain a little bit in the back here. We'll see how this goes. Maybe just end up just kind of hitting some highlights a little bit and see how that looks. I don't know how that'll turn out, but it catches your eye. So it kind of changes. That's kind of cool. So it kind of changes as you move it. You kind of get glimpses of that bronze. So the silver and the bronze. Okay, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. So I guess we'll do the same thing here. And here we go. Yeah, this will kind of break up that, just this long silver, and we'll put some on one side so that as you turn it, you can kind of see the reveal of the color at different angles. Put a bunch there. The only problem is with this small brush, it really ends up drying the paint out quick. That's a lot. There we go. Yeah, this is going to turn out good. I like it already. See how it adds that little bit of pop in there. Pop is good. Pop is good. Folks, we're getting down to the home stretch. Oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. I want to try to get a little bit on this top. Right there and right there. Oh, that's coming out nice. Folks, that looks great. That looks awesome. I like it a lot. Nice, nice. Oh, yes. That, folks, looks good. If you can see those chains glistening. Man, that just ends up looking good. We get how the light captures that. We get the brown straps in there, the base of the arms. Yeah, that turned out really good, folks. Wow, this is really, really good. I wasn't expecting this good. This is really good. We got a lot of distress work on here. We got some shadowing. We got the eyes, the mouth, the teeth. Got a little bit of glistening in there. You can see the glistening of the gloss varnish on the tongue, and it looks like it's wet. Man, that came out really good. Yes, yes, yes. Nailed it. That I'm really pleased with this. This, boom. We are good. I think we are done. That is. I'm really proud of this. This is really good. I thought we were just gonna, in the previous videos we did the dry brushing and how to do dry brushing, and you can see that one turned out really good. The cave troll. Out of all of these, the cave troll had the least amount of detail, but with the paints that we used, the inks that we used, and doing all that. Layering, and then on top of that paint, and we did some silver highlighting on some of the armor, the teeth, skeleton bone teeth, the purple or the orc's blood for the inside of the mouth, that dragon red for the actual tongue, using some gloss varnish. Man, this really came out nice. And then we even did some of the streaking grime on there. I don't know if I like that, because you got to use the mineral spirits. I just don't know about that. We did also throw on some rust and some moss on the base, which turned out okay. But I think that last little bit of the weapons bronze on the buckles and the chains, getting that little reflective, putting it on different surfaces, turned out really good. So as you move this thing, you can actually see there's the silver and then there's the bronze of the chain as it moves around, and you can see it from different. That just turned out really, really good. Oh, wow. And then the varnish on the nose, so it still looks like he's, got snotty nose or whatever. Nice, nice, nice. Digging it. I think we did it. We did it, folks. So with that being said, I think we finished this up. And so what we're going to end up doing is we're going to call this a day. And I'm going to go back to the computer and we'll put up the final screen. So that way we can do, no, that's not the final screen. And there we can actually, here's what I want to do. There is the picture of the reference picture that I had. And so we have the reference picture is over here, and then we have our guy here. And let me see how's that turning out. Oh yeah. So you can end up seeing the eyes, the mouth. I mean, it's definitely got the red mouth and stuff going on there. but this turned out pretty good. I like the color of the skin and how that turned out. And again, we got the depth, the colors, you know, the glistening mouth and all of that. We got the blue eyes in there, so that turned out really good. Yeah, I would say that turned out pretty good. It's not as brown as the reference picture, but I wanted to have a little bit more green and yellow into that to kind of play with that color scheme a little bit, and I think it turned out pretty good. So yeah, there we go. That turned out awesome. So we're going to end up with this right here. So like and subscribe to the channel. Would really appreciate if you did that. And let's see if we can get this in a frame. That turned out pretty good. So definitely a good painting experience that we had with that. Awesome job. I'm happy with it. I didn't think it would turn out this good. So yeah, like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. Cave Troll would really appreciate that if you like and subscribe. And share the videos, do all some cool stuff, pick up some hobbies and have some fun. And with that being said, we will see you on the next video, folks. Peace. Man, that turned out good.